Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Rogue Deck Chronicles. I am Dean, and once again, I have Devin with me.
Hey guys, hopefully everyone had a good weekend and is looking forward to these pre-releases.
Yes, it's as of recording, pre-release is this weekend for the new set, Destined Rivals, which, spoiler alert, that's all we're going to talk about today. There weren't any tournaments this past weekend. Really no Pokemon announcements. I know a couple things been announced for the mini set during the summer, but we can talk about that at a later time. But before we go into the Destined Rivals set review for this week, I just got a couple housekeeping things we want to just bring up. Firstly, thank you for everyone that's been following us. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, listen to our podcast videos and our audio on Spotify. We are on a journey to 100 subscribers. Once we hit that goal, we will do a special live stream of the Rogue Deck Tournament of Champions. So we'll pick 6 to 8 decks that we have featured on this podcast and in our deck videos. And me and a couple of my buddies, we will do a mini tournament to show how they are play IRL versus playing on live and have a good time just showcasing the Rogue decks that we do talk about on this podcast. And then second, just want to let everyone know that on May 30th, we will be doing another live stream for Destined Rivals. We'll do another play testing session. Myself and Joe will be playing the new trainer cards, trainer decks that we'll be talking about in today's episode. It is also the day that the set is released for play on live and in the shops everywhere. So we'll just give a demonstration of our takes on these decks and just have a good old fun evening playing Pokemon.
Yeah, I mean, last time you guys did a live stream with the decks, it was really fun. I was in chat and was kind of just watching you guys play and seeing you guys like tell stories and just experience those decks. And it's always that first time testing is always fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like for me, it'll be a glimpse of what I can expect at NEIC when I go later in June. And just there's a couple decks I have my eye on, so I kind of want to play it out with the cards in my hand. I know I'll be play testing on live, but there's just another thing of just playing with your friends and just having a nice time and just interacting with people talking Pokemon.
Absolutely. And honestly, nothing ever beats being able to just shuffle deck in hand.
Oh
Live is
yeah,
great. Live
absolutely.
is amazing. Nothing beats it in person, like testing session for sure.
Yeah, so hopefully y'all can join us on that Friday. Take some time out of your evening, just chill, give us some ideas, tell us how we're playing the decks wrong. Just let's just have a good time playing Destined Rival decks.
Backseat gaming, let's go.
Yeah. So we're excited. I've been talking to Joe for about a month and a half about this, so we're both really, really excited. But with all that being said, I think it's time to actually talk about Destined Rivals.
Yeah, let's dive into the proposed set list. We don't know at the time of recording. We don't know the exact set list. So we are going with what we and probably most of the community would assume is the set list in its pretty much entirety. Um,
Mm-hmm.
this is from JustinBasil.com. So thank you, Justin Basil, for being able to do the translations for us because Dean and I are not fluent in Japanese, and kind of just
Yeah.
putting all this in one spot for us so we could easily go through. We are going to be going in type order, and we're going to be going in the order that historically the sets are ordered in. So the first thing will be grass Pokemon, as normal. And we'll make all the way through all the different typings, talk about the trainers, talk about the special energy, and kind of wrap it all up that way. So, Dean, let's start by diving into the grass type Pokemon.
Well, first, I think, as we said, we don't know exactly what's in this list. We have a very highly educated guess based on the last couple sets in Japan. But one thing that we do know that was released today is the promos for the pre-releases that if you're going to attend any in the next couple weeks.
I forgot about the promos being released. You were right because we talked about this when we were driving home today, and
Yeah,
yeah,
so I texted Devin a photo of it because Pokemon released these cards, and we're all trying to see like, oh, are they going to do one of every trainer again? So they are the Ethan's Typhlosion, the
hmm
Misty's Gyarados, the Team Rocket's Tyranitar, and the Team Rocket's Mimikyu.
and
So
I think all these cards have impact. I think they did a very good job of picking these four for the promos of this pre-release season.
exactly, and all of them are going to be chase cards. Are all good in their own way. I will say, I know there's been a lot of discourse about a certain card. Um, I'm just going to call it out. A lot of people are confused with the Mimikyu pick just because in a pre-release format, in this specific pre-release format, you can't really attack with it.
Yeah, there's no Terra Pokemon in this set, so
So,
it
yeah.
kind of does. It makes sense. People are like, oh, I can't attack with this card, but as like you pointed out, it has free retreat.
Yeah.
So like that's impactful, especially in a pre-release setting. Being able to have a free retreater, that's very underrated.
Oh, yeah, because if you played one of these pre-release decks, so Switch isn't in Destined Rivals. So unless they put a Switch card or a switching type card like a Surfer or something in your pre-made deck, you have no easy way of retreating. Like obviously you can manually retreat, but there aren't any cards in this set that really synergizes other than maybe the Spidops, which we'll talk about in a little bit, like why energy in the discard matters for that card. But having a free retreater, because even I saw someone on Twitter, like someone even made a statement. It's like yeah, like why make the Mimikyu a deck for pre-release? Well, Pokemon's giving you a really good pivot option. And if you played with these pre-release decks before, you're not just getting one, you're probably getting two or three. So the fact that in a 40 card deck, you're going to have three easy pivoters to kind of bring up, do what you need to do, and then retreat into what you have to do. I think people are making that so underrated because if not, you're attaching, retreating, you're wasting an energy for it, and you don't really have a lot of turns to really waste energy in that way.
That and also the Mimikyu is an uncommon, so there is a very good likelihood in your packs that you'll be able to pull more of them.
Oh
So
yeah,
not only you're going to have them in the kit pre-kit, you could also get them in the packs and be able to just have, like you said, really a lot of really good pivot points. And the key to a pre-release is really making your deck as efficient as possible. And a part of efficiency is just trying to get the active out of the active when you want to have it out of the active.
yeah.
So that is honestly probably an undervalued piece of pre-release deck making that a lot of people just forget about. Because in standard formats, we're spoiled with hard switch cards, and in pre-releases, we don't get that as easily.
Oh yeah, your consistency is out the window. If you have ever been to one of these events, you're lucky to get any trainers,
Yeah,
mostly
in your
Pokemon.
decks, yeah.
So unless you get like a rescue board or a switch, it's your consistency is already at a minimal already.
hmm
So having this like more, I wouldn't say consistency buff, but a non-stress pivoter, I think that means a lot. And also Mimikyu is a chase card for any collection. I think it would have not been smart for Pokemon to not pick Mimikyu. Yes, it's not good for the pre-release format setting, but we play these cards outside of that for the majority of the time anyway. So having a stamp Mimikyu from Destined Rivals in your deck that we're going to see most likely on stream for NEIC because Team Rocket's deck is very good. Like it's a nice chase card to make people buy the cards more.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I saw here, I'm looking at the images. So there's going to be 182 cards in this set before Secret Rares. This is going to be a
This is
massive
massive.
set. So good luck on your pools during your pre-releases. So with that being said, let's now jump into the grass types.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, I forgot that they announced because I've been at work and I didn't have my phone. And you mentioned to me in passing when I was driving home. You're like, "Yeah, we need to talk about the promos." I'm like, "What?" And you're like, "You showed them." I'm like, "Yeah, we do." And I completely forgot about it in the beginning. I just I love set reviews. I love diving deep into these cards because a lot of these cards will not get a lot of attention after the pre-release season, and I definitely want people to know some cards and be able to play around with some new combinations for sure.
Exactly, and I like how our episode comes out just a day or two before pre-release starts. So it gives people who do listen to us an opportunity. Like, okay, I see these cards, I hear these cards, and do a little bit more research. So if they're trying to like actually do well at a pre-release, they have an idea of what they're looking for, what card combinations to make for a deck, and also just honestly, I just want to get my hands on them, especially if you're going to NEIC. We only get 2 weeks from street date, so I really encourage y'all, if you're doing it going to NEIC, go to these events. They're fun. You get cards that you need to. So but yeah, we're going to talk about Destined Rivals. One thing to note before we go into the typings, this is very heavy on the trainer cards. I know
Yes.
we have the introduction with Journey Together. There are 7 trainers being introduced in this set.
Oh yeah, they went hardcore on this. And it makes sense, right? This is the first set where we really were able to go all in on the trainers. Like Journey Together, yes, it has trainers in them, but it was kind of introduced halfway through the Japanese cycle, and it just didn't like. It was kind of this is where it had the entire period really grow, and
Exactly.
we're going to see a lot of trainers very soon. But the first card I want to talk about is not a trainers card. It is actually
No.
Yamega EX. That's a stage 1 grass type Pokemon, 280 HP, that has the ability Bug Boost. Once during your turn, when this Pokemon moves from the bench to the active, you may search your deck for up to 3 basic grass energy and attach them to this Pokemon, then shuffle your deck. And the reason why that's important because as an attack, Jet Cyclone for 3 grass and a colorless, 210, and then you move 3 energy from this Pokemon to one of your bench Pokemon. So you promote it with the active during the turn, get your energies, do 210, and then put those energies onto one of your bench Pokemon. And it
And
has
then,
only one
mm,
retreat, so you can easily just recycle this over and over and over again.
oh yeah, it's a great way to accelerate your energy into play. I can see this game paired with Toad Scroll EX actually, with that attack where it does more damage for every Pokemon that has grass energy on there.
Mm-hmm.
So pair that with how the deck is already. You play the Teal Mask Ogerpon, so you play Area Zero, have the Teal Mask that sets up your bench, have 1 or 2 of these Yamegas in your deck, and then it's so much easier to get your energy on board and on all your Pokemon versus relying on energy switches and like, okay, what if I'm going against Badoo and I get item lock, can't energy switch anymore? You don't have to once you attack with Yamega. You get 3 energy on board with that attack alone, and then you have the teal mask. So there's another energy. You have multiple teal masks, more energies, and then manual attachment. You can set up your whole entire board in 1 turn.
Yeah. Now, keep in mind that Jet Cyclone is you put all 3 of those energy onto a singular Pokemon. So it would make a lot of sense to maybe load up a Teal Mask or load up another Yamega or something along those natures where you're able to stream your turn, your attacks turn over turn, and set up other combinations. Like this will give grass a very interesting piece, and it's not weak to fire. It's weak to electric. So you're
Oh, that's important.
and you're covering your weaknesses as well. So I this may be a deck on my list of I want to play around and see if I can make work.
Ooh, I know another good partner for this.
Hmm.
Hydrapple EX. Because that one's actually based on how many energy are in play.
Yeah, that makes sense. But Hydrapple is a stage 2, so it'll be one of those. You want to be cautious on running too many stage 1, stage 2 combinations, but I can see the logic. I really do.
Yeah. So I'm sure someone will make a fun deck with this. I remember when it was first announced, it had a lot of pun intended buzz to it, but it quickly died down. So we'll see where this lands and how just yeah where it lands. And honestly, I think this will be a great pre-release card too. because you can just load up your pre-release deck with grass energy. It doesn't really take much to get this going, and you can do really well with your battles with that.
Yeah, no, I've definitely. The issue is the Yanma at 70 HP, but I don't know if there's any other better Yanmas than what the set's going to be giving it. So we'll just that's a deck building decision for non pre-release formats.
Oh yeah. So I think the next grass Pokemon to talk about it belongs to one of the trainers. So we're going to talk about Cynthia's Pokemon for right now,
Mm-hmm.
specifically the Roserade.
Yes, so that Cynthia's Roserade is going to be very impactful, and I want to point out how it's being classified, if you don't mind. So
Okay.
this is a stage 1 Pokemon, not a stage 2. It evolves from Rosalia as a stage 1. That's big. We have kind of already identified that baby Pokemon are going to be separate from everything, but the fact that we see that is Rosalia is also going to be considered a basic Pokemon in the set makes it easier to get Cynthia's Roserade into play because you don't have to worry about a rare candy play.
Oh yeah, and there's no Cynthia's Badoo anyway. Um, so remember, Cynthia's Pokemon have to have the Cynthia's to enable to evolve up. You can't just play a regular Roserade and then evolve it to a
Oh,
Cynthia's Rosalina to or you know
uh,
what I'm getting
a
at. It has to have
Badoo's
Cynthia in its name.
yeah, and but that's important because I think that differentiation right there, even yes, it is a Cynthia's card, but baby Pokemon are basic. The original basic Pokemon is basic. So we're talking about Electabuzzes, Magmars, Rosalias, Clefairies, Jigglypuffs. We're talking about all those different potential stage 1 Pokemon if you count the baby, but they're not. They're
Mm-hmm.
both basic Pokemon. And that's an impactful decision on the TCG side for future considerations.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So with that being said, Cynthia's Roserade has a Glory Yell ability. Your Cynthia's Pokemon do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. And it's important to note this does stack. It does not have a limitation on it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have multiple of the Roserades in play, you can do 30, 60, 90, up to 120 more damage if you have up to 4 in play.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very important because this belongs to Cynthia's Garchomp. That's going to be the main partner, which we'll talk about later on. And that can do massive damage. Plus, there's a trainer card that pairs well with this deck, which makes it even more massive. So this is just one of the building blocks for the Cynthia's deck that we actually seen do well in Japan as well. On stream and online leagues. So this archetype is something to watch out for.
Yeah, Anthem effects like this are always really good. And we see that right now with Hop Zacian, right? The Snorlax, even if it not stacking, is significant. 30 damage is a very significant multiplier. So the fact
Mm-hmm.
that this can stack with itself within its own archetype, it definitely can bring some consistency questions. Like, I don't know if you would really run a 4-4 line of Roserade in a deck, maybe a 2-2 or a
2-2
2-3.
or 3-3, but I was just trying to make the point that you can do up
Yeah,
to 120 more damage if you play a 4-4 line in there.
yeah. So this is going to be very significant. Keep this card in mind if you're running any form of Cynthia. And this is going to be, again, a staple in the archetype going forward for the rest of our conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's just so one more.
I would say
No,
two more
actually,
grass
grass.
types.
There's actually a
Yeah,
lot to
I would
talk
say
about.
I know there's a card you're not looking at, but I know the next card on the list is honestly probably one of the most impactful cards in the set if we're reading it right. And that is Shaman.
Oh
So
yeah,
Shaman is going to be a basic grass type Pokemon, 80 HP, that has the ability Flower Curtain. Flower Curtain is prevent all damage done to your bench Pokemon without a rule box by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon. Now, with how this is translated and how it was implemented in the Japanese meta, this is damage, not damage counters.
correct.
So that is a very important thing. So this does not prevent your non-rule box Pokemon from getting the damage counters from Dragapult's attack.
Unfortunately, no. So
But it does prevent damage from Zacian.
it does, yes, and it's important to read. I know that's something I tell my locals all the time when helping staff events and someone have questions. I'm like, what does it say? Does it say damage or damage counters? They're like, well, what's the big deal? I'm like, they're completely different.
Mm-hmm.
One's an effect, one's damage. So having a card like this is basically your bench barrier. So think of Mew, Manaphy, whatever bench barrier Pokemon we've had in the past,
Yep.
but only to your non-rule box. And that's pretty significant because the Terra Pokemon have a bench barrier ability mechanic already. So as of now in this format, any regular EX, there's no way to prevent damage being put on there.
Yeah.
But your regular non-rule box Pokemon can prevent it, and your Terra Pokemon can.
Yeah, and this helps you build and protect like those Dreepies in Dragapult, um, the Swinubs in Mamoswine, the Charmanders and Charizard. Like you're being able to protect the basics from damage, so you can set up your stage twos, especially your stage two Terras.
Yeah, and I would say this is pretty significant too because we've been seeing we've been seeing Wellspring Ogerpon EX become very popular lately, and with the Shaman and format, Torrential Pump is got significantly weaker because when once Shaman's in play, yeah, you can attack the active, but you can't do anything to the bench unless it's an EX, and really, is that really doing much to a massive EX? So it does change how people play the game, what cards they do, especially with spread decks. So this is really going to be a big damper on spread.
Yeah, for sure. And then the last card I want to point out in the grass archetype is a card that I pointed out to you multiple times, and you're like, "Oh yeah, no big deal." I'm like, "No, this is a big deal," and it's the Crustle. So Crustle is a stage 1 grass type, 150 HP, that has the Mysterious Stone House ability. Prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by your opponent's EX. And then it has a grass double colorless attack rate. Scissors 120. This isn't affected by any effects. So EX can hit it and it shreds. Yes.
So the Mimikyu and I can't think.
There's so many shred. Shred has been such a popular attack for years. Like this is just a grass shred that can't get hit with EXs. That's a stage 1. The only negative is that the stage 1 is Dwebble, but the stage 1, the Dwebble can Ascension. So this Dwebble's good. Turn 1 Ascension.
Oh my gosh, it does.
Turn 1 Ascension into Crustle. EXs can't touch this sucker. This is a really good, like this evolution line is very good.
So with this card, do you see walls coming back?
I don't even care if walls come back. Like this can give Brass so much security, where this could give Brass the couple turns where it needs to set up. Like we were just talking about how good Yamega could be. Having turn 1 Crustle and just slowly building up a Yamega, and then because Crustle has 3 retreat cost, do a hard switch or a Surfer or something like that to get that Yamega into the active and then put energy across the board. You could probably make a pretty solid grass deck just from cards in this set.
Yeah.
So
I think you're right. To consider walls, for release.
Yes, for sure. Walls. This will go into a wall tank deck for sure. But I think there's too many walls right now where I don't know if this has the right spot for a wall stalled kind of archetype.
I've been seeing some Japanese lists, but it's not common. Just because I would say Mimikyu because it's a basic, it's a little better. Iron Thorn's just really popular with Roblox Pokemon. So we'll see if this makes an impact in the meta. So I think that's it. Actually, no, I think there's one more we want to just briefly touch on. And this is for the Team Rockets archetype. And we're going to talk about Team Rocket's Spidops.
Yes.
So the Spidops is a stage 1 Pokemon. Evolves from Team Rocket's Torrentula. Has a charging up ability which reads, once during your turn, you may attach a basic energy card from your discard pile to this Pokemon. And has a Rocket Rush attack for Grass Colorless. 30 times. This deck attack does 30 damage for each Team Rocket's Pokemon in play.
So it can do 180 for 2 energy, but it can accelerate to itself, so it's really just a one-turn setup.
Exactly. And really, this is important once we get to the Team Rocket's Mewtwo EX, because this is basically, you can attack with this, but you don't want, it's mainly a bench sitter, but for a certain reason. And we'll get that with when we get to Team Rocket's Mewtwo. So keep this card in the back of your head. Remember, we talked about this. This is a very impactful card for that deck, and you'll see in a little bit. But I will say this is definitely a card you should look out for when you open up your kits.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, I think we're ready to go to Fire type Pokemon.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's a lot of really good grass cards in this set, and I think grass is finally getting a lot of love, and I'm very interested to see how it's going to impact the NAIC meta. But for fire, I'm just kind of scrolling through. I think the first card we have to talk about before we get into Ethan's cards is this Team Rocket's Moltres EX.
Yeah.
So Team Rocket Moltres EX is a basic fire type EX Pokemon, 220 HP, weak to lightning. Again, a flying Pokemon that has a non-flying typing, so alternative weakness here, right? Has 2 attacks. One is Flame Screen, which is fire double colors. Does 110. During your opponent's next turn, this Pokemon takes 50 less damage. Cool, awesome. Not the hardest thing to set up, especially with Fire's history of being able to accelerate. And this is a Team Rockets card, which we'll talk about why that's important later.
Oh, yeah.
And then its second attack is Evil Burn. Fire triple colorless for 4 energy. Discard a Team Rocket's energy from this Pokemon. If you do, discard your opponent's active Pokemon and all cards attached to it. So you don't get the KO prizes. You're just discarding it from play, which still can yield you to a win con.
Yeah, it's... I know a lot of people are like, well, I'm not getting prizes. Why does it matter? If you get rid of their main problem, the main problem for you, it's going to take them multiple turns, especially if that was a stage 2 Pokemon. It's going to take them a couple turns to really bounce back from that. And all you have to do is discard a Team Rocket energy.
Yeah.
So discard 1 energy card, get rid of the big problem, and then you have multiple ways to really get powered up, because this is a fire Pokemon. Pair this with Armarouge with the Fire Off ability, get more fire energy in play, and then move that energy back to the Moltres, and you're good to go. Or you can just attach another Team Rocket energy to this Pokemon. So at first you're like, oh, this isn't that strong, but if you really analyze this card, this is something that can be very menacing.
Yeah, and keep in mind there's a very common scenario, especially late game, where your opponent only has 1 Pokemon left in play because of how the math works. Like, look, if you knock this Pokemon out and you take your last 2 prizes, there is no difference of you taking your last 2 prizes and me having no Pokemon on board. But this Pokemon could have 300 plus HP. It could have an ability that stalls out any other Pokemon in your deck. Like, it could be a wall. Well, this attack doesn't do damage, so the wall abilities do not proc. And you just discard it. Oh, cool, you have no Pokemon anymore. I may not be taking the prizes, but my win con is you have no Pokemon to play.
Yeah, so, and correct me if I'm wrong, I can't really think of a card that prevents effects on the active. Most cards prevent effects on your bench. So because this is an effect attack,
I'm sure there's a card out there. I'm sure there's a card out there that prevents effects on the active, and there's probably cards that protect itself that way.
Oh, Mist Energy is
Mist Energy is one of them. Yes, Mist Energy.
I think it's the only one though.
And Mist Energy is not really played that often right now. Anyway, it's played in some archetypes, and not a lot. But I know there's probably 1 or 2 other cards that probably have that. And in the comments, please let us know. We don't have the entire card pool in front of us when we're doing these discussions. But this is a very good card. And yes. I think it's not going to see a lot of play because the energy costs are very heavy. It's a fire Pokemon. Historically, fire Pokemon have very heavy attack costs. But I see the benefit, especially for that Evil Burn attack.
Oh, yeah. And I think pairing of Armarouge will help out with the energy requirement. and then you just need to find a way to get a Team Rock energy. So play Chorus Tenacity or just have a lot of good draw. I think it's easier than what people are expecting.
Mhm.
I will say there's with the Team Rocket archetype, there's much better cards. So the fact that this is strong, and this isn't even considered a good card, tells you how impactful and
The
how
Team Rocket came with
important
a
is Team
vengeance.
Rockets. Yeah.
Yeah, Team Rocket is going to be very impactful in just more than one archetype. So, and we're going to go into more and more of those as we keep on going through this set. But Dean, let's go into the next Pokemon or next evolution line, every line that you are just waiting to get these cards in your hand.
Yes. So we're going to talk about Ethan's Pokemon. So that's another trainer. So, fun fact, you are Ethan.
No, Ethan is an established character in the manga and in the anime.
But I thought Ethan was gold in the
Ethan
game, which you
is
play as gold, don't you?
Ethan is the male protagonist in Gold, Silver, Heart Gold, Soul Silver video games. Yes, you are right. But Ethan is actually an established character in the anime. He
Because
has
I
a whole
remember
side. He has a whole spin-off series just for himself.
okay, because I remember when they first introduced Ethan, everyone was like, "Who is Ethan?" So if you're only playing the trading card game, this may be someone that you're not familiar with. If you play the video games and into the other subcategories for Pokemon, you're familiar with Ethan. Just want to throw that fun fact out there.
Yeah, this is
But
this is the male protagonist in Gold and Silver, but they did introduce him into the actual anime as a side series. He isn't in like Heart Gold, like Johto episodes of the anime. He has his own spin-off series.
yeah, so he has Quilava and Typhlosion. I'm very interested in these cards. When I saw some of these decks being played on a play testing session, I'm like, oh, this is really cool. I love playing the single prize decks. So the Cyndaquil isn't anything that's earth shattering. It's really the Quilava and the Typhlosion. The Quilava has an ability called Adventure Bond. Once during your turn, you may search your deck for Ethan's Adventure, which is a new support card. Reveal it, put it in your hand, and then shuffle your deck. Well, that's important because we'll talk about the Ethan card, what it does later on once we get to the trainers. But it goes really well with Ethan's Typhlosion, the Stage 2 Pokemon, where it has a attack called Buddy Blast for a single fire, 40 plus. This attack does 60 more damage for each Ethan's Adventure card in your discard pile.
280 for one fire energy is stupid good.
For a single prizer as well.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is just get that supporter in your discard. So if you remember the old Braixen with the Serena, same concept, just a little stronger. There's a lot easier. To me, it's easier to get this set up because one, the Quilava has a way to search for it, and then there's a lot of discarding cards. So you can Ultra Ball away. Obviously, you can research it away. Some decks I've been seeing is playing with the Secret Box for their Ace spec. Once they'll Quilava 3 times, get all of them in your hand, Secret Box them all the way, and get all the pieces that they need for their turn. You got your energy powered up, your attack powered up with the discard, and then you're actually getting your board set up as well. So it's a double whammy for you. And then being a fire type and with a single fire type, I've been seeing it paired with a lot of different partners that can play off of just one fire energy. So I've seen it with Goldango, I've seen it with Dragapult, I've seen it with the Dunsparce. It's a nice attacker on its own, but it can also make a great sidekick as well. It's just so versatile, and you can keep it either a single prize deck, you can make it a mix with a multi-prizer. I think this is definitely the most underrated main archetype deck in this set.
Yeah, and I don't even know if it's underrated. Like, it's very much, people are rating it very highly. It's a super. One, it's a promo. Two, it's Typhlosion historically has always been good. So I would be shocked if this card does not get any love, like at all. Like I think it's gonna make an impact in the meta. I think it's gonna be a B tier-ish strength because it only can do 280 without any damage modifiers. And there's some damage modifiers that will be able to get to hit magic numbers, yes. But stage 1 without damage modifiers 280, or stage 2, it needs some help. It can definitely do it, and I'm not going to be surprised if it's definitely B tier in terms of power once the meta kind of settles itself out.
Exactly, yeah. So this is a deck that I'm going to be practicing with. I already told you I'm calling this deck. I'm playing this. I'm building this. I may be taking this NAIC. So we'll see how playtesting session goes on that Friday of the street date. But I'm super excited for this one. And then another fire archetype I want to talk about that my buddy actually hi Steven. He was actually telling me about is he's really on board for the Ethan's Macargo. So another Ethan Pokemon has the Melt and Flow ability. This Pokemon has no energy attached, it has no retreat costs, so a great pivoter. But it's really the attack that's making this kind of stand out. For triple fire, it's Lava Burst, 70 times damage. Discard up to 5 fire energy from this Pokemon. This attack does 70 damage for each card you discard in this way. So you can go up to 350 damage by discarding up to 5 energy from this Pokemon.
And it's a discard up to, so you don't have to do all 5 in particular attack. You can do whatever multiplier you need for that particular attack.
Mm-hmm.
As we talked about, grass is getting resurgence, so that's not bad. Golden Goal and Godango are weak to fire, so there's another target right there. You have all the metal Pokemon that are weak to fire. So this is a very good typing. You don't always have to do 5 discard. But Dean, remind me, how are you consistently putting these energies onto the Macargo?
Oh, I was going to bring this up. So there's another Ethan's Pokemon called Ethan's Ho-Oh-EX. Has the ability Golden Flame. Once during your turn, you may attach up to 2 basic fire energy from your hand to one of your bench Ethan's Pokemon. So you have a couple of these in play, and then you just have to retreat into the Macargo, and then you have all your energy loaded. Or even yet, since it's to the bench Pokemon, and you can't retrieve once Macargo has energy on there, play like a 1-1 or 2-2 of the Armarouge, and then you can use the Fire Off ability to move it from your bench Pokemon to your active Pokemon, and then you're golden. You can attack with the Macargo as many times as you want without even worrying about the retreat ability.
Yeah, and then the Ethan's Ho EX is the basic fire type 230 HP Pokemon that we said about that Golden Flame ability, but also has a attack for 4 fire energy. Shining Feather does 160 and heal 50 from each of your Pokemon, so the Ho EX is more than just an ability setup supporter. It can definitely put pressure and help you recover from an HP perspective as well as an attacker.
Yeah, I would say it's going to be more of a playing the support role in the deck, but in a pinch, you can get it powered up and attack with it. And healing 50 is pretty significant because just 30 damage from Monkey Dory can knock out Pokemon. So if you can take that option away from your opponent, it means so much.
Mm-hmm. And then,
So I think that's it for fire Pokemon.
I think so.
So
I mean,
Ethan,
the Blaze, there's
yeah,
the baby
Ethan
Blaze.
got a nice stronghold in the fire type.
Yeah, and there's a baby Blaziken, I think, will be interesting because people are already playing Blaziken EX. So popping a small Blaziken here for the Infernal Legs attack for 2 fire colorless, it does 120, and then if you discard 2 energy from this Pokemon, you can do 120 to one of your opponent's bench. I think if you're running Blaziken EX, you can run one of these baby Blaziken, especially if you're running fire energy in that list, and you'll
Mm-hmm.
be able to just have a one prize spread damage Pokemon in an archetype that already uses Blaziken EX. But I don't see it being super impactful, but it could be a one-off tech in those archetypes for sure.
It can take the role as like that's the single prize Goldango has now in the Goldango EX deck, just to offset that prize trade.
Mm-hmm.
It does a decent amount of damage, but just preventing the 2-2-2 prize trade means so much in this game right now. You slow it down, so I can see it making. You can make an argument to put this in any Blaziken deck just because it will help you slow down the game a little bit.
Yeah. So with that being said, let's jump into the water types. You are super excited about some of these water types, so I'm going to let you take the lead on the first handful here.
Yeah, so the first couple water types are the Misty Pokemon. So I'm excited because when I first saw these, I'm like, oh, the Misty cards, they're not that good. I don't know why we're really looking at them, but I was like, huh, I wonder if I can make this work in GLC. Just because they're all single prize Pokemon. So I'll start with Misty Psyduck, and once I explain what these cards do, hopefully you can make the connection that I made. So Misty Psyduck has the Slapstick Jump ability. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon is on your bench, you may discard the bottom card of your deck. If you do, discard all cards attached to this Pokemon and put it on the top of your deck. So we'll keep that there for now.
You can never deck out. Gotcha.
Oh yeah, and that's actually, I didn't even think about that. I was thinking about something else.
Oh no, there's a combination that you're definitely thinking of, but the first thing I thought of when I read that ability is, you're never going to be able to deck out because you're constantly putting Misty Psyduck on the top of your deck. As long as you have an open bench spot, you can just perpetually draw that card for your card for turn, and you'll never have to worry about anything else.
Ooh, this is your new Pidgeot V. If you play the mill deck, the Great Tusk Mill, that was roll the Pidgeot V. Like you could never deck out. So this is your new Wall Stall card. So you're welcome, everyone that plays Wall and Stall. We gave you your way out.
And everyone who does not like Mill, this is your counter to it.
Yep. So there's a Misty Staryu, Misty Starmie. I'm not really going to talk about those cards. Misty's Magikarp, and then Misty's Lapras. But the next card I wanted to really connect with the Psyduck is the Misty's Gyarados. So it has an attack for 1 water energy, Splashing Panic 70 times. Discard the top 7 cards of your deck. This attack does 70 damage times the amount of Misty Pokemon you discard in this way. Excuse me. So with the Psyduck, you already have 1 automatic card that you're going to be discarding through that attack. And now there's a stadium card out in current format called Academy at Night. So if you play the Slowking deck, you love this card. I see it paired very well with this GLC deck because then you Academy at Night a Misty Pokemon from in your hand on top of that onto your deck, and then you're discarding 2 Misty Pokemon doing 140 damage, and 140 in GLC is very strong.
Yeah.
So I can see this being done turn 2, turn 3, knock out something that your opponent has during their initial setup, because in GLC it takes a little bit to set up. And then with the amount of recovery cards that GLC and really expanded has, you can get the Gyarados back in play as a closer and find a way to discard up to 7 in Misty, or really 1, 2, 3, 4 Misty, do 280 damage. That's knocking almost everything out in GLC.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And then the Misty's Magikarp is nothing to ignore as well. It has the ability Incredible Dive. As long as Pokemon's on your bench, prevent all damage and effects of attacks from your opponent's Pokemon done to this Pokemon. So that Magikarp has 30 HP, but it can't ever get damaged unless it's in the active.
Yeah.
So your Gyarados, you have a good opportunity to evolve to that Gyarados as long as that Magikarp stays on the bench.
Exactly. So I saw that. I was really excited for GLC wise. Other than that, I don't really see these cards being played in standard at all. Lapras has a nice setup ability, I guess, but I don't know. I made that connection. I'm like, I want to try this in a water GLC deck because I've been playing around with metal and I've been like, I need something new, and I think this will be fun if I can get this put together for NEIC. And if they have any GLC side events, I want to take this and try it out.
I mean, water's strong, but trying to find another way to do water is always fun, for sure. And then the next Pokemon is Team Rocket's Articuno. I know that this may not be considered a strong card, but I think it is. I think the baby legendary birds from the Team Rocket side of it is actually not too bad. So as resistance fails an ability, prevent all effects of attacks used by your opponent's Pokemon done to your basic Team Rocket Pokemon. So you're protecting all your basic Team Rocket cards from damage counters, from Zacian. No, because Zacian's technically damage. But
no, this is blocking Dragapult.
Yeah, it for sure blocks Dragapult. So it's definitely important for those Team Rocket decks. And then Dark Frost, Water double colorless, 60 and then 60 more if this has a Team Rocket's energy attached to it. So it's 120 for 3 energy, which is not necessarily the best return. Um, but I think Resistance Veil itself makes it a must-have in any basic-oriented Team Rocket deck, for sure.
And really, a lot of the Team Rocket archetypes are going to be basic. There's a few that are not, and we'll get there once we get to those cards. But yeah, when this was released, everyone was like, "Man, Team Rocket is just going to be OP." Granted, I think there's been a way to that the format has balanced itself out, at least in Japan. But we'll wait and see for NAIC, like if this card makes impact. The fact that you can block Phantom Dive on basic Team Rocket Pokemon and deny easy setup for some KOs, I think that's strong. Pair that with the Shaman, your opponent's going to have a hard time getting anything on your bench.
I don't think you'll need Shaman in basic Rocket decks if you have the Articuno. I think the Shaman is more for the non-Rocket decks, and this Articuno is for Rocket decks. Because you don't need two bench spots just to protect your certain things. Like I think the Articuno does enough to be warrant its position and you can honestly run. I would probably run 2 of in a deck, very similar to how decks run 2 Snorlax or 2 like setup and protectors just for consistency purposes. I can definitely see 2 ofs just because you only ever want to put 1 in play.
Exactly. So I'm looking at the other water Pokemon. There's nothing that really stands out. I know we kind of spent some time on the last couple set of cards. Is there any water Pokemon you want to touch on before we go to next typing?
I do, but it's because I see these cards. I'm like, I can do some silly shenanigans with this, and that's the Clamperl line. So Clamperl, Huntail, and Gorbis. So the Clamperl, not worried about. That's just evolution to get where you get your fun. So we have Huntail and Gorbis. So Huntail is 110 HP, Stage 1 Water type, evolves from Clamperl. Has the ability Diver Catch. Whenever one of your water Pokemon is knocked out by damage from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, you may put all basic water energy attached to that Pokemon into your hand instead of discard pile. It has Hydro Slash, Water Double Power Straight. Who cares? The ability is why you want Huntail. And then you have the Gorbis. Gorbis is only 90 HP. Stage 1 evolves from Clamperl. That has the Crescendo Wave attack 30 times, and in this deck does 30 for each water energy attached to this Pokemon. Before doing any damage, you may attach any number of water energy from your hand to this Pokemon.
Oh, wow.
So you can see the combination there. But also keep in mind, Diver Catch can help you with maybe like a deck like Wailord, where you don't have to worry about losing all your energy, and you can just keep on pumping.
This will be good for Excalibur decks for sure.
Exactly. So there's a lot of water
energy retrievals or anything like that.
So that's why I would say there's going to be some fun little shenanigans with the Clamperl line. Not only do they kind of work together, but the Huntail definitely is a included poke card in any water deck that uses a Rain Dance mechanic of some degree.
Ooh, you can play Reversal Energy.
Yes,
attach
you can.
Reversal Energy, declare your attack.
No, because it only
water energy.
No, because it only works for basic water.
No, that's why you attach the reversal first. That's your energy for attachment.
Yeah, you won't
the attack.
Yeah, you won't be able to use the abilities for that, but yeah, that's where the reversal energy works in Wailord right now, right? It gives you 3 water energy when it's attached, but it can't be recovered. So.
Oh no, not at all. It'll go in your discard, but it'll be a nice way to do. Was it 90 damage easily?
Yeah.
So even if you have no water in your hand, at least you can do 90 damage. So.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that's it for water Pokemon. There's a couple EXs, but they're not really that standing out. Maybe our minds will change once this set is released and we can kind of play with them some more. But I think it's time to get to some electric Pokemon. What do you think?
Yeah, the electric archetypes here, I'm very intrigued because there's some low-key cards here that I want to play around with.
Like what?
So, this is going to sound weird. This Electivire EX intrigues the heck out of me. So it's a stage 1 electric Pokemon, 280 HP that evolves from Electabuzz. So again, this is not a stage 2, this is a stage 1 evolution. So that makes it a little easier. It has 2 attacks. The first one for Lightning Color is Dual Bolt. This attack does 50 to your opponent's Pokemon. 50 spread, 2 energy, and electric stage 1, not bad return. Now, the second attack is High Voltage Press. Double Lightning Colorless. 180. If this Pokemon has at least 2 energy attached to it, it does 100 more. So 5 energy, 280. Not bad, especially when you have... Remember that the first attack is putting 50 on before. So
Yeah,
I'm very intrigued on this.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to worry about one-shotting stage 2 Terras. And it's electric type, so it hits some of the Pokemon that we were talking about for very significant weaknesses. We're talking about those bird Pokemon. We're talking about the water Pokemon. Lightning weakness is becoming more and more prevalent, so if you can hit into weakness for that, you don't have to put as much energy into this.
Yeah, and setting up the energy on the Electivire EX is not hard anymore, especially with Electric Generator and other ways to get extra energy in play. And it just says 2 extra energy, so it doesn't specify that it has to be lightning energy. It can be any energy. So you can, I know I've been bringing this up a lot, Armarouge. So you can use Armarouge and move some fire energy. Compare this with the fire type deck, and then do the 280 with just getting energy on that way, and just finding a way to get the lightning energy on there. Luminous energy could be a nice possibility for that as well. There's a lot of different combinations to get the added energy onto this Pokemon, and I think this is going to be a nice comeback mechanic for sure. You do the 50 spread, and then all of a sudden you're hitting 280 to the active. That can knock out anything that you set up.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I said I'm intrigued. I don't know if I would say I'm going to test with this because I have a whole bunch of random ideas I'm already talking about and looking at, but we have a long time with this set. So I'm sure we're going to have plenty of opportunity to play around with some rogue ideas and be able to do some showcases out of this.
Exactly. Oh, excuse me.
And then, so what card are you thinking next? Because I have a card I want to point out if you don't point it out.
So we can just briefly talk about Ethan's Pichu.
Yeah,
it's another baby Pokemon, but it does 30 and you draw a card
for free.
For free, yeah. So it's an easy setup Pokemon. Bring in your active. You do 30, get some damage, or depending on what you're going against, so you knock it out. And then you're just getting you're drawing a card. Yes, it's only a 30 HP baby Pokemon, but you're able to see more through your deck. You gain some damage in play. It is a free retreater. There's a lot of good things with it. Is it a best baby Pokemon? No, but it can get the job done if you're in a pinch, or even just in the early game, because really in the beginning, you don't mind losing a single prize Pokemon, because then it opens up a lot of your comeback mechanic.
30 draw 1 is such a good return. Like 30 draw 1 for free is a better return. So yeah, definitely a good. You say it's not the best baby Pokemon. I think it's better than Bidoof, personally. And it hits it, like we said, lightning is a very important weakness. So I think it's going to do a lot more impact in the right meta. The next card I want to talk about is the Team Rocket's Ampharos.
Yeah.
So the Team Rocket Ampharos is a Stage 2 trainer electric Pokemon that has 140 HP. And it has the ability Darkest Impulse. If you have Team Rocket's Ampharos in play, whenever your opponent plays a Pokemon from their hand to evolve one of their Pokemon, put 4 damage counters on that Pokemon. This ability does not stack, so you can only have one of these in play at once. But 4 damage counters for every evolution? So the only way this is bypassed is through the TM Evolution tool card.
Or from Grand Tree, and that's it.
Or from Grand Tree. Rare Candy still counts, because you're still evolving from hand. You may be skipping an evolution step, but it still counts. So if in a format that is very much a Stage 2 Terra format or an evolution format, this is very, very impactful.
Yeah, it's a nice bench sitter. The attack isn't bad either, like a lightning double colorless, 140 damage. Since it's Team Rocket, you can attach a Team Rocket's energy on there.
Mm-hmm.
So really, for 2 energy attachments, you can do 140. It's a nice single prize option, and really thinking outside of standard, this is a nice archetype to put in for Lightning GLC because Lightning
Yes.
GLC is known for spread and known for getting damage counters in on your opponent's board. So if you're going against, like, say, a Psychic or really any GLC deck that relies on evolving, this could be a nice addition to the Lightning deck.
Absolutely. But
And you
unfortunately,
can play with the regular Flaffy Dynamotor because Team Rocket, Flaffy, and regular Flappy are 2 different Pokemon. They're not one. They're not the same.
yeah. So the Team Rocket's Mareep and that Mareep Team Rocket Mareep line, and then the Mareep line are 2 different evolutionary lines in terms of Pokemon. Yes.
Yeah. So for those GLC fans, maybe something to consider. I know the Lightning deck is pretty strong right now, so maybe it gets stronger.
Yeah. And that's really all I see for electric. I mean, one, there's not a lot of electric Pokemon in this set anyway, but the next typing, I think, is where a lot of people are putting a lot of attention.
I know the Team Rocket's Drowsy is going to be game changing.
I mean, Team Rocket Drowsy actually is not going to be a bad card because I think the Team Rocket's Hypno is stupid good in the right situations.
So I just read the first card for Psychic. I didn't even think about it, but yeah, like reading Team Rocket's, the bench manipulation 80 times your opponent flips a coin for each of their bench Pokemon. So if you're going against a Terra deck that has
And
8
every
Pokemon in play,
tails they flip, they get 80 to their active. So they have a full bench without the Aries Iono Defs. That is 5 flips at 80 times, and you have to hope you win each one of your flips.
the one times you want heads for a coin flip from your opponent.
Yes.
Normally you want tails.
Yes. So, but this isn't affected by weakness or resistance. But still, 3 tails is 240. 4 tails is 320. That knocks stuff out. Like, this is a really dumb card, and it gets dumber when you consider the fact that you could use the Rocket's energy on this.
Oh yeah, you can.
This is going
Did
to
not
be
even think about it because this is so easy to set up because you have the Team Rocket's energy, you have the Xatu Clairvoyant Scent for your Psychic energy. So you have Psychic has a lot of ways to power this up so quickly.
Yeah. But let's talk about the next card on the list.
Yeah,
I think this is the granddad.
What people really ran about. So.
Yes, absolutely. So, Dean, if you want to go for it, man.
So the big, bad, evil guy for this set, none other than Team Rocket's Mewtwo EX. This was the card that was revealed to us months and months ago, seeing that Mewtwo and has the Power Saver ability. This Pokemon cannot attack unless it has 4 or more Team Rocket's Pokemon in play. So that is important with this card. And it has an attack for 2 Psychic and a Colorless, Eraser Ball for 160 plus damage. You may discard up to 2 energy from your bench Pokemon. This attack does 60 more damage for each card you discard it in this way. So 160 plus 120 is 280. Why is that important? We need to go back to the Team Rocket Spidops card. So it has the charging up ability to put an energy from the discard to the Spidops. Pair that with the Mewtwo EX. It's a nice recycler for to power up your the attack from Mewtwo EX. Get those Pokemon in play. Always have 4. It's 4 including the active too. So that's something to know. So 3 Pokemon and the active is all you need to get this Pokemon powered up. And this is going to be so powerful. 280 basic Pokemon too.
Yeah,
This
280 knocks out pretty much anything that's not a Stage 2 Terra. And that's before damage modifiers. We have damage modifiers in the format, obviously, of tool cards and different things like that will be able to do more damage. It's a Mewtwo card. It's a Mewtwo EX card. We know they're always going to be good. And this is not going to surprise me if this just makes instant impact. Like, this is going to be the archetype of this set.
And for the Team Rockets deck, this is the deck that has been doing the best.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of other archetypes out there, but this is the strongest, most consistent. It doesn't take much to really power this, get this deck going. All you have to really focus on is making sure you have the Pokemon in play, and you can pair it off with some other Pokemon other than the Spite Ops to really get going.
I mean,
Um,
I would say the next card in the set order that we have here that I would put at least a one off in this deck list is a Team Rocket's Wobbuffet.
oh, especially with the Mewtwo.
Yeah. You don't get the Mewtwo one shot. You put the Mewtwo on the bench. You promote this Team Rocket Wobbuffet, and it's Psychic, Colorless Attack, Rocket Mirror, move all damage counters from one of your bench Team Rocket Pokemon to your opponent's active. The Team Rocket's Mewtwo has 280. If you don't knock out that Team Rocket Mewtwo, that's one on the bench, and all those damage counters are moved away.
Exactly. And okay, base 280, Bravery Charm, make it 310. Hero's Cape, make it 380. Like, there's ways to make the Mewtwo so bulky, and then pair it with the Team Rocket's Wobbuffet. It takes one energy attachment with energy, and then you can instantly not get rid of all the damage on your board.
Yep.
Put it onto your opponent and let them cry.
Pretty much. Wobbuffet is hit or miss when it comes to cards, and this is a big hit in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. So I think there's some other cards in order, but to stay on the Team Rockets topic, I think another Pokemon that will go well in that Mewtwo deck is the Team Rockets Mimikyu.
Oh yes.
So we talked about it in the beginning of the episode. It's one of the promos, but it has an attack for Psychic Colorless called Gem Mimicry. Choose an attack on your opponent's active Terra Pokemon and use it as the effect of this attack. So that's another easy attacker to set up, and then you can copy Dragapult, Charizard, Flygon if they're playing Flygon, Frappico, Sylveon, Flareon, like all the Terra Pokemon that we've been seeing lately. You can easily just copy its attack for practically nothing.
Mm-hmm. No, the Rocket archetype has a lot of different tools at its disposal for sure.
So we talked a lot about Team Rockets. I think we can briefly talk about some Stevens Pokemon. Steven will have a box, I believe, will come out this Friday. So the day after this episode releases, I believe they'll have theme decks that will come out. Please fact check me on that. I did a quick research and I saw that. Not totally sure. I know it is coming out as a theme deck. And one of the important cards in this is the Stevens.
The Stevens Ball Toy?
Actually, I was getting this mixed up on another Stevens card, but we can talk about the Claydol actually.
Yeah, the Ball Toy has an attack summoning star that you get to put 2 basic Stevens Pokemon in the play on your bench, which is important. But
that's actually pretty good, yeah.
And then the Claydol, the 2 Psychic Colors, Clay Blast, 220, discard all energy to this Pokemon. Like, 220 is not anything to scoff at on a Stage 1 non-EX.
Yeah, and it's actually easy to power that up with Clairvoyant Scent Xatu and just other... Oh, and also, we'll talk about this later, the Metagross. Another easy power up this card. Like, the Stevens deck just has a lot of synergy with itself, and having a single prize attacker like this, yes, you're discarding all the energy, but in this format, energy recursion is so easy. It's not really something to worry about, and it's a single prize attacker.
Yep. And then you have Stevens Carbink on top of that, so all of Stevens Pokemon take 30 less damage, so you're just making all your Pokemon bulkier just by having that Carbink set on the bench.
Exactly. So the Stevens archetype is going to be, I would say, decent. I want to fool around with it once I get my hands on this. Nothing for like super competitive, but I may bring it to something.
So that's
I think that's it for Psychic Pokemon.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, there's some other cards here and there that would be kind of fun combinations, but in the right archetypes it would be, but nothing super crazy. Next up would be fighting. The Annihilate is interesting.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's a stage 2 evolution of Mankey. Vessel Rage is the ability. If this Pokemon has 2 or more damage counters on it, attacks used by this Pokemon do 120 more damage. So, and it has an attack for double fighting. Impact Blow is 160. During the next turn, this Pokemon can't use Impact Blow. That's not the worst thing in the world. There's so many switching cards where you can cycle this in. So 2 energy, 280 again. We're hearing that 280 number coming up multiple times. And it can get damage onto itself with the drag off ability. Or no, never mind. You'll just have to be able to get 2 damage counters on it. And it's not the hardest thing to put two damage counters on a Pokemon nowadays.
Now, there's plenty of ways to do it. Calamus Mountain, if you put the energy on one of the basic, you'll be able to find a way to get 2 damage counters on there.
Mm-hmm.
I think the next card we want to talk about is the Team Rocket's Anatar. So this is another one of those promos for this set.
Yes.
With the ability Sandstream. I know you were actually talking to me about a nice deck idea that you're coming up with featuring the Tyranitar.
I wouldn't say nice. So, this is jank as heck, but yes, it's a fun little combination I'm trying to figure out. But the Team Rocket Tyranitar is a stage 2 fighting type Pokemon, has 180 HP, evolves from Team Rocket's Pupitar. So first off, Team Rocket's Pupitar has an attack for a single colorless, Explosive Awakening, 30 damage. Search your deck for a card that evolves from this Pokemon, put it onto this Pokemon, then shuffle your deck. So you can get a Team Rocket's Tyranitar going into your opponent's turn 2 without a rare candy. Mm-hmm. And put 30 damage on the active. That's cool. When Team Rocket's Tyranitar is in play, the Sandstream ability, as long as it's in the active, you put 2 damage counters on each of your opponent's basic Pokemon during checkup. So this is important because there's a lot of setup Pokemon in the format that are basic. The problem is one of those is Monkey Dory. So you're just powering Monkey Dory up for your opponent for free. So there's pieces of that you have to kind of play around with, and there's other cards that I'm looking at to pair with this ability, just because I think doing a whole bunch of spread ship and then kind of cleaning up is very much viable in this format, because Monkey Dory, yes, it is prevalent. It isn't the panacea. It's not going to fix everything. So,
and then next is we're going to talk about another Cynthia's card, which we mentioned previously. It's a Cynthia's Garchomp.
Yeah.
So it's a stage 2 fighting type 330 HP Pokemon, and it has 2 attacks. First, for 1 fighting energy, is Spiral Dive, 100 damage. Then you can draw until you have 6 in hand.
Yep.
So remember Blissey EX? Yeah, this is an easier way to do what Blissey did for its attack. Granted, you're doing less damage, but there's other cards that can help out with making it more than 100. And then for 2 fighting energy, Dragon Buster, 260 damage, and then you discard all the energy from this Pokemon.
And so there's a couple things that this evolutionary line has that we did talk about. First off is the Cynthia's Goodbye. Has King's Call. Once your turn, you may search your deck for a Cynthia's Pokemon, reveal it, put it in your hand. You just have you're setting up everything. Cool.
Yep, easily.
Cynthia's Garchomp EX also has no retreat cost. So discarding the energy. Yeah, Dragon Buster, retreat, Dragon Buster, retreat, Dragon Buster, retreat. You can put this with Blaziken and be able to set up everything you need consistently. Very consistently. So
exactly.
And that's not counting the fact that Cynthia's Roserade is the thing. And then there's other cards that are going to modify the damage. So this card is busted.
Yeah, I was just doing better. I know one of my friends is super hype on this card. He loves Garchomp card. And this is giving him another reason to play another Garchomp deck because it's pretty good. Having basically an easy way to set up all your Pokemon with Bite. And the attack options are fairly easy, like 1 and 2 energy. Like, okay, yeah, with the second attack, you're discarding the fighting energy, but that's not that bad. There's, like you said, Blaziken can power this up. You can power up with other means. Like, this has the potential to be very, very game changing.
Yes, for sure. I mean, other than that, that's it for fighting. I mean, yes, there is a very impactful card in this Garchomp, but there's a lot of interesting pieces here. But That is all I can see for the fighting type. But next is the dark typing. And this, I think, beyond after the psychic type, I think is the second most impactful typing in this whole set.
Oh yeah. So a lot of Team Rocket's Pokemon, which makes sense because the Team Rocket energy with the typing that it provides. There's definitely a lot of cool combinations for the decks you can make.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to see which one we want to talk about first.
I
Actually, I think
mean,
the Team Rocket's Arbok is pretty
I was gonna
interesting.
say, yeah, that intimidating glare ability. So Team Rock Arbok is a stage 1 darkness Pokemon, 130 HP. Intimidating Glare's ability. This Pokemon's in your active spot. Your opponent can't play any Pokemon that has an ability from their hand. That is
So no
dirty.
Monkey Dory,
Yep, no Monkey Dory from hand. Uh,
no Dragloak, no what's another impact? No, oh, you can't Charizard.
can't
Can't ever
Charizard.
get Charizard in play. Um,
Can't Gardevoir.
what else has an ability? Yeah, no Gardevoir. Yeah, that's big, especially with Gardevoir being weak to Dark.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it
So,
slows down a lot of options.
yes. Now, the Team Rocket's Nidoran male and female lines are interesting, and that is a much deeper rabbit hole. But the Team Rocket, Zubat, Golbat, and Crobat is bringing back Sneaky Bite. So,
Yes.
Golbat, the Team Rocket Golbat is Sneaky Bite. When you evolve it, put 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. Team Rocket's Crobat EX has Bite About. When you play this Pokemon and you evolve it, put 2 damage counters on 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. So Sneaky Bite is coming back on a Stage 2 EX compared to a Stage 2 non-EX. And then Assassin's Return, 120 for a double darkness. You may put this Pokemon into your hand, discard all attached cards. So you put the whole evolutionary line back in your hand, and
And
then
starts process all over again.
exactly.
And with it being double dark energy, yes, we have the Team Rocket's energy, but really, like, there's Janine's secret art that can help power this up in one turn as well.
Mm-hmm.
So with Janine's secret art, you pick 2 dark Pokemon, doesn't matter what they are, and then you can attach darkness energy from your deck to them. And if one of them's inactive, it's poison. So really, the poison doesn't matter with this card because you're putting it back into your hand anyway.
Yeah.
And then you get the poison damage. So pair this, and then you can do even more. And if you want a little more, do the Binding Mochi, do 160. Then you do 2. Then you do 3 with the Perilous Jungle. You're doing 190, and then you get no damage on your active because you're active.
Yeah. So
Maybe something to play around with that. But even without all those modifications, the 120 and then resetting itself is still pretty powerful.
yeah. And then the next card I'm going to skip a little bit. There's a lot of Team Rocket Darkness Pokemon that do a whole bunch of shenanigans, but the Cynthia Spiritomb.
Oh yeah.
Raging Curse. So this is a single colorless attack. 10 times. This attack does 10 damage for each damage counters on each of your bench Cynthia's Pokemon. It's not affected by weakness or resistance, luckily enough, but this can add up real quick.
Especially when Garchomp has 330 HP and then it has a tool that buffs it, which we haven't even talked about yet. So if those are heavily damaged, plus any other heavily damaged Cynthia Pokemon you have on your bench, yeah, you're doing a lot of damage for a single prizer that only needs 1 colorless energy.
Yeah, that's just it's getting splashed in every single Cynthia archetype, period.
Well, granted, there's only 1 Cynthia's archetype, but this is an easy single prize option for this deck. You're not worrying about the 2/2/2 trade of just attacking with the Garchomp over and over again. This can kind of break it up and make your opponent work around that strategy. And it's heavy hitting. You can find it off of Buddy Buddy because it is 70 HP. So easy way to set it up in the beginning too.
It's definitely a mid to late game attacker for sure, but you can always grab it whenever you need to for sure in most archetypes.
Exactly. Like if you need to discard it early on in the game and then get Night Stretcher back it and get it back out, that's easy. Like this is a easy way to get a nice heavy hitter into play.
Mm-hmm. Sir, what's the next card you want to talk about, Dean?
I want to talk about the Marnie cards. So we haven't really talked about Marnie yet. This is kind of like Steven, where it's going to be a theme starter deck. And really, out of all the trainers, this is the trainer card that's making the most impact in the Japanese meta.
Mm-hmm.
With, I believe, it was either 5 or 7 of one play testing group making top 16 at the Aichi Championship.
Yeah, they made a big deal at that.
And we know that they're the same playtesting group because they ran the same 60 cards.
Yeah.
And they all got, and like getting top 6, like that's pretty big for one group. It's like saying that Bradner's groups, like Bradner, John Ang, Reagan Westloff, all them make top 8 at one of our tournaments. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, 3 out of the top 16 ran the same 60. And that was Grimmsnarl Frostlass.
Yeah. So we've been seeing this a lot. So what the Grimmsnarl does, it has the Punk Up ability. When you play this card from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may search up to 5. Say it again. 5 Dark Energy. And attach them to your Marnie's Pokemon any way you like. So this is really just for your initial setup because you only need 2 energy to attack. So for 2 Darkness Energy, you're doing 180 damage, and then you're 30 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon.
Yeah, but then you're also playing other Marnies to take advantage of that.
Oh, exactly. Like this is an easy way to set up your board, so you don't really have to worry about setting up an attacker for the rest of the game, unless you just don't have the Pokemon out. But 180 and then spread and then pairing off with that class, I can see why this made top 16 with multiple players.
Yeah, no, it's really really strong. I don't think we're going to see a lot of impact of the card in the Western game, unfortunately. I think a deck like that is good. It's consistent, but I don't know if it's going to get enough popularity to be considered top tier over here.
We'll just have to wait and see. Like, it is powerful, but as we saw with Japan, those results aren't necessarily a 1-to-1 to what we will see.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, the first tournament with rotation, wall decks were everywhere, and they were nowhere to be seen in Atlanta. So,
yeah,
take Japanese results very comfortably. It's like, okay, I see this. I see it's strong. It may be a play for you to consider for a tournament, but we'll wait and see. And this comes out as its own starter deck, so get a couple of these, you can easily make a nice deck to play with at a local tournament.
Yeah. And that's honestly all the Darkness Pokemon that I'm honestly interested in. I know you love Arven. Yeah, you're like, why is Arven's not getting enough love? But I don't think the
Arven,
cards are that good.
The cards are not good. It makes up that the supporter is super broken, so I guess they have to nerf the cards because of that. So, yeah. But yeah, Arven is one of the trainers in this list. It does have and we'll just mention it real quick, the Mabostiff EX. It's not good.
No, it's
just know that Arven is represented here, and it is out still cooking.
Yes,
we'll put it that way.
So in the metal type, there's really only one kind of evolutionary line I really want to talk about, and that's the Metagross EX line.
Yeah, the Stevens Metagross. When I first saw this, I was a little excited. I like Steel type. I like Metagross. It has the ability X Boot. Once during your turn, you may search your deck for a basic Psychic and basic Metal Energy, and attach them to your Psychic or Metal Pokemon any way you like. So that Claydol we talked about is an easy way to power up the Claydol. An easy way to power up the Stevens Metagross because you can do Metal Stomp for a Metal colorless for 200 damage. You can honestly, this is just a good support Pokemon to power up any other Psychic or Metal Pokemon you want to do.
Yeah. No, it can definitely just power up your Psychic Metal archetypes. I don't know if it's really going to make a lot of impact, but it is something very interesting to keep an eye out for.
A nice fun challenge deck maybe, but other than that, until someone takes some serious time with it, yeah, you can make it bulky with the card being Full Metal Lab. You can put some a defense modifier on it. You can make it super bulky because it has a 340 HP. I can see making it 400 easily and making it hard to knock out. But it is weak to fire, so that Typhlosion deck can easily knock it out. Any fire deck can easily knock it out. So we'll wait and see. This is still out for deliberation, see where it's at in the format. But again, it's another starter deck that we can get fairly soon. And when played right, it can really frustrate some opponents.
For sure. Then I'm really just there's no dragon type, so we'll move beyond that. The next Pokemon I really want to talk about in the colorless or the normal typing, however you want to call it, is the Team Rocket's Porygon line. I know you're super hyped on this, and I can see why.
I
So,
was hype on this. I saw it play, and I'm like, maybe it's just okay.
but I think there is a lot of gas to it potentially. I think the only drawback it is a stage 2 basic attack. Yes, the stage 1 has the same attack, but that one's for 3 energy. The stage 2 is for 2. So Team Rocket's Porygon Z is a stage 2 basic non-EX attacker. It has 140 HP. It's colorless. It has the ability Reconstitute. You must discard 2 cards from your hand in order to use this ability. Once during your turn, you may draw a card. So discard 2, draw 1. On paper, that sounds awful. But if you look at the R command attack it has for double colorless energy, is 20 times, and this is 20 times the amount of each supporter in your discard pile with Team Rockets in its name.
And that's why the ability isn't as bad, because ideally you just want to discard Team Rocket support Pokemon or supporters.
Just supporters, yeah. Just don't play them as supporters. Just discard them for sure.
Yeah. So if you look at some decks online, you play like 4 of almost every single Team Rocket supporter, and it just powers it up. So once you get about, say, like 15 supporters in your discard, you're almost one-shotting everything.
Yeah, 15.
But it is a stage 2. So this, at first I'm like, oh, this is a nice single prize deck, but it's so hard to set up.
I think once the right balance is found, then it's going to be a good archetype because it can be powered up by Team Rocket's energy. It obviously you want to play your supporter for turn. I don't know if you're trying to go all in all gas on discarding all your supporters as quick as possible with this one. I think this is a slow burn, slow build up kind of deck where you're willing to 3-shot in the beginning, which turns into a 2-shot, which turns into a 1-shot. And because you're single prize, you can play the long game like that.
I can see that, and then I've seen with the Porygon 2, as you mentioned, same attack as a Porygon Z, but with triple colors cost. Play a couple like reversal energies. That way you have a card that doesn't require rare candy to attack. And if you're behind on prizes, you can still do the same damage.
Yeah.
They have options, but it's just very difficult to set up.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna build this for the stream and see. Maybe I'll change my mind once I actually play it. But based on stuff I've been watching, it's a fun local deck.
Yeah,
we'll put it that way.
Sure that way. So that being said, that's all the Pokemon that I want to talk about.
Yeah, that took us some time.
Yeah, 182 card set, ladies and gentlemen. So we still have some trainer cards, and
we'll go through these quickly.
Yeah, we'll go through these a little quickly now that we have the Pokemon kind of laid out. First one, Cynthia's Power Band. We already made an allusion to it. It increases the Cynthia's Pokemon this is attached to 70 HP, so that Garchomp turns into 400 HP with this Power Band attached. That is bonkers. Keep that in mind. There's combinations with the Cynthia's Spiritomb, or you're just making your Garchomp a little harder to KO. There's a whole bunch of different things with that. So this power weight is super busted.
And then a couple reprints, or a reprint that's coming out is Energy Recycler. So shuffle up the 5 basic energy from your discard pile into your deck. I'm a little excited for this card just because I played that Heatran Bastic Legion deck in my Rogue. And this is giving me a way to kind of play that archetype similarly. It's not going to be a 1-to-1. I think Legion was a better way. But attack with the Heatran, I can get the energy use Energy Recycler, put that energy back in more easily, and then Metang it back on there and can try to get my Heatran attack over and over again.
Mhm.
But this is also important for maybe that Ethan's Macargo we talked about. Any deck that puts a lot of energy in the discard that we need to put back in our deck.
Yeah, for sure. Next up is Ethan's Adventure. We talked about that with the Ethan's Typhlosion archetype. Ethan's Adventure is a supporter that reads, search your deck for up to 3 of any combination of Ethan's Pokemon or basic fire energy. Reveal them, put them in your hand, shuffle your deck. So this is a really good way for you to get your board set up with your evolutionary lines. This is a really good way of getting energy into your hand if you already have your evolution line set up. This is not just for Typhlosion. You could definitely play this with the Mercargo to get a whole bunch of energy in the hand. So this is definitely a card that, for all those fire Ethan archetypes, this is going to be a 3 to 4 of in every single type.
Exactly. So there's that. There's Granite Cave, which is a stadium for the Stevens archetype. Steven Pokemon, both yours and opponents, take 30 less damage. So with that, with the carbing, you're taking 60 less damage. So just another way to make this the Stevens deck a little more tanky. And we're getting a reprint of Giga Judge or Giga Chad Judge.
Yes,
so
we are getting a Judge
reprint.
reprint.
Art.
But we are also getting a reprint of Sacred Ash. Sacred Ash has not been made since Phantom Forces, I believe.
It says whatever FLF
Flashfire,
is.
Flashfire. I was in the right.
Flashfire.
I was in the right meta. It's right there. That they were like sets right next to each other. Shuffle your up to 5 Pokemon from your discard pile into your deck. So Sacred Ash will go really great with the Misty archetype. It will go really great as a recovery option. Sacred Ash is definitely a souped up version of Super Rod for most. Very few decks are using the Super Rod for the energy retrieval nowadays, so you can just replace your Super Rods for Sacred Ashes and put more Pokemon into your deck and be able to get them. So definitely a welcome reprint. It makes sense that we're getting a Ho-Oh in the same set. This is just perfect synergy right there.
Yeah. Next will be Spike Myth Gym. Once during each player's turn, you may search for a Marnie's Pokemon, reveal it, and put in your hand. Another great way to power up that Marnie's deck. And then the slew of Team Rocket supporters.
Yes. So
honestly, they're all pretty good. I think a couple just to highlight is Team Rocket's Archer.
Yeah.
You can play this once the Team Rocket Pokemon is knocked out. Each player shuffles his hand. You draw 5. Your draws 3. So kind of like a mixture of like Roxanne, Unfair Stamp-ish. Team Rocket's Ariana. Draw until you have 5 cards in hand. If all your Pokemon are Team Rocket's Pokemon, draw you have 8.
Yeah, that's busted.
So you're good for a Team Rocket deck.
You have Team Rocket's Factory. Once during your turn, if that player played a support card with Team Rocket's name from their hand, that player may draw 2 cards. So with how popular Team Rocket may be, this may not be as good as you think it is. You may be rewarding your opponent a lot more than you'd be rewarding yourself. So be very cautious with this stadium.
Yes, and it should be noted because there was a little discrepancy on the translation. You can play the supporter at any time. You don't have to play the supporter and then do the stadium.
Yeah.
You can play the supporter, do Fez, draw as much, and then do the stadium. The only requirement is that you have to play that supporter before using the stadium card.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah, your turn remembers that you played a stadium with a name in it. Absolutely. Team Rocket's Giovanni. Switch your active Team Rocket's Pokemon with one of your bench Team Rocket's Pokemon. If you do, switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon to the active spot.
So Guzma's back.
Guzma is back for Team Rocket.
Guzma is back.
Team Rocket's Great Ball. Flip a coin. If heads, search for an evolution Team Rocket. If tails, search for a basic Team Rocket. This is amazing. I mean, this would require you to play both evolution and basic Team Rockets cards for you to get maximum value, but this is still really, really good.
Oh, yeah, exactly. We'll talk about just a couple more. There's so many. The Team Rocket set is so busted. There's one that you can play on your first turn. Team Rocket's Proton. If you go first, you can use this card. So Carmine. Search your deck for up to 3 basic Team Rocket Pokemon, reveal them, and put them in your hand.
That's
Who needs Buddy Buddy?
yeah. You don't need
You
Buddy
can do
Buddy
it
in
this
Team
way.
Rocket. Because this doesn't say you can't use it any other turn but turn 1. It just says if you're going first turn 1, you can play this card.
Exactly. It's just like Carmine. It gives you a way to play a supporter your first turn and pair that with Team Rocket's receiver. Search your deck for a supporter card with Team Rocket's name, put it in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as you have a Team Rocket's receiver on your first turn, play that, grab the Proton, and then get your board set up. No, you don't have to worry about getting donked.
Yeah, and then we'll go to the last card here. The Team Rocket Energy. I know we've talked about a lot during us talking about the Team Rocket cards. So this is a special energy. This card can only be attached to Team Rocket Pokemon. If this card is attached to anything other than Team Rocket, you must discard the card. Very similar to how Double Dragon Energy is worded. As long as this card is attached to a Pokemon, it provides 2 of any combination of Psychic and Darkness energies. So, very, very strong special energy for this set. So
exactly. And then one last card, Team Rocket's Watchtower. Colorless Pokemon in play have no abilities. That's very important for your Terra decks. No more Noctowls, no more Squawkabilly. Actually, I think those are really the 2 most important.
Those are 2 big
Pokemon.
ones for sure, but it's, I mean, it does what it needs to do. And there's, we just skipped around. There's so many, like I said, there's 180 plus cards before Secret Rares. This is a massive deck, a massive set. We try to cover the cards we thought were important. This is a longer than normal video, so definitely I think it's worth the kind of jumping around. So with that, Dean, if you have nothing else, I'm going to jump into a quick Rogue Deck of the Week because I still did one this week, even with the Destined Rivals set review. And honestly, this is a deck that I thought was very interesting in Milwaukee. This was the deck that Brooke Wagner piloted to 163rd in the Milwaukee Regional. This is Hop Zacian and Friends. The piece of this version of Hop Zacian that I really liked was the Iron Valiant EX add to it.
Yeah, so this was actually on stream for, I believe, either around 5 or 6. I think 6. It was a win-in situation against a top prominent player playing the Godiango EX, and this player did really well. Like Brooke Wagner made day 2 with this deck on stream, so it is a nice spread option. Mm-hmm. The Hops archetype, if you're not familiar with it, has the Hops Zacian, which for a single energy is Instant Strike. You can do 30 and 30 to the bench, but then there's a bunch of damage modifiers to bring up that 30 damage. You have the Hops Snorlax, you have the Hops Choice Belt, and you have the Postwick or Postwick.
Yeah.
And you can easily do 120 damage after all that is applied, and then you're still doing the 30 damage to the bench. And then with the Iron Valiant, you can get more damage on board. It's just a nice, fun spread deck. And then for the mid game, you have that Cramorant where you attack for free and do 210 damage.
Yeah, if you have all the same modifiers, you can do up to 210. I've done 150 pretty consistently. But yeah,
for a single prizer, might we add? So
yeah, for a single prizer mid game, it's. I like this. Like, there's a couple cards, like, this deck does run a Squawkabilly, but I think this makes sense. Like, your turn 1, you want to try to get that 120. So I think Squawkabilly makes perfect sense. You want that aggro kind of set up. The Bloodmoon Ursaluna is a card that I see why it's in there, but I would cut it, honestly. And personally, I think I might add, I would cut it for something else, but I don't know what the something else is at this moment. Runs an Iron Bundle. Iron Bundle makes perfect sense because you are running Iron Valiant and you're running 2 Techno Radars, so you can search for it. Basically, Techno Radar is a discard 1, search for 2 future Pokemon.
Yep.
So you can do that, and then you have the Mew EX, which has the restart ability, and you can just refresh your hand up to 3. You can.
And it's your pivoter.
Yeah,
it's your pivoter for your deck too. I will say I played a couple games with the Hops Zacian as well. It is, if you're not used to playing spread, it is a different mindset. You're not looking for right away. You're basically trying to manipulate your opponent's damage and just trying to kind of take multiple prizes at once with having a couple of tanky Pokemon to
Hmm.
really kind of help you out.
Yeah, absolutely. The Iron Valiant, I was able to do three of them in a single turn and then attack, so I was able to put 60 damage into play before the Insta Strike, and that doesn't count the damage I'm doing to the active. All I'm doing this is all to the bench, so it takes a lot of practice. This is a very much a higher skill ceiling deck than I thought it was when I initially grabbed the list. But I am enjoying doing some matches, and hopefully you guys will enjoy the deck the rogue deck of the week video that I'm making for it, and we'll kind of just go from there. Um, with that being said, Dean, is there anything else you want to add this week?
No, thank you for listening to this very long episode. Maybe our longest one yet. But yeah, Destined Rivals was a beast of a set.
And it has a big impact. So I think we gave it the due attention. It is going to be the set that's going to be legal for NAIC. And honestly, I know Dean and I are both super excited to start play testing and kind of theory crafting and building some decks and being able to showcase all the different cards in this set to the best of our abilities. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a long set because we'll have the long break be in June and July. With there's not really any major tournaments once NAIC is over until Worlds. So stay tuned. We have a couple ideas that we're going to try to do for some fun episodes. As a reminder, we're on the road to 100 subscribers. Please like and subscribe this YouTube episode. If you listen on Spotify, leave us a comment. We're always trying to pay attention to all the comments you all give us and responsive. Give us a little bit. We are working professionals.
Yes.
This is a side project for both of us, and we're both going into our busy season with our jobs. So this is going to be a fun summer for us, and
Yeah.
hopefully Pokemon will be a way for us to relax.
Yeah, so in the summer, since you brought that up, we are probably going to go to a bi weekly release schedule of the podcast just because we both, the summer is a lot of times, a lot of people vacation times. Unfortunately, for both of us in our industries, it is our busy times. So we are working extra hours, we are working longer. So we're not going to be able to update and do the episode every week, but we will be able to set aside something for every other week. So we will be slowing down once the summer hits. We definitely want to let everyone know that that's happening and coming up, and just wanted to make sure that it is not being forgotten. It's just we have to schedule everything around that, so we wanted to be upfront now. And we'll remind everyone once we really get into that schedule change. That way, everyone is expecting that from us.
Yeah, and we'll still do some showcase videos, so we won't have a podcast episode, but every week we'll at least try to get a road deck of the week, so that way you have something to play with, something that you can do during this off season too. Because also there's not going to be any tournaments for us to talk about, so the Pokemon news will be slow, but we want to give you some content at least. So, like we said, we're trying to be honest, transparent, upfront about it now. We're not forgetting about this podcast. It's just we are in industries that require summertime to be busy. So
Yes.
we don't take our vacations. We are working.
Yeah, we take
So,
vacations in
but
the winter and the spring. If you haven't noticed when you don't see us, it's because we have to plan a little differently than others. So
yeah, but we have some fun ideas for some episodes. I know we have a fun idea for the week of NEIC, or not, sorry, not NEIC,
worlds,
for World.
worlds.
So stay tuned in August for that. And yeah, a lot going on for us, but Pokemon is still there in our lives, and we'll try to show you all what we're seeing with Pokemon as we can. But with all that being said, thank you for listening. This is a very robust episode, as we said. Um, take some time listening to it. You don't have to do it all one sitting. I don't do that for any of my podcasts, to be honest. So just listen, absorb it. Be on the lookout for the pre-releases. And yeah, any last words for you, Devin?
No, thank you, everyone. Enjoy the pre-releases. Have fun. I'm not. I don't attend pre-releases. I just don't go to in-person events anymore. But I know I always had fun doing them. I hope you guys do the same. And just let us know what cards you pull. That's the fun part of pre-releases. Is those fun pulls. The
Oh
batches
yeah,
don't matter to me as much. It's like, oh, I got this card, and everyone's like, oh my god, that's awesome. And then you don't touch it because you're afraid. You just leave it and you don't want to play with it. I get it.
Yeah. So, with all that being said, thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Rogue Deck Chronicles. And as always, have fun playing those sneaky decks.
Bye, guys.